Dear students, today we are going to revise first lesson, basic concepts of chemistry and chemical calculations. So these basic concepts you already studied in lower classes. First, what is a definition of matter? So if any substance in the universe having mass and occupying certain volume in the universe, we call it as matter. And we can classify the matter in two aspects. One is based on physical state, another one is based on chemical composition. So a matter may be a solid or liquid or gas. So a substance may be in the solid state or liquid state or gas state. So this classification is mainly based on physical state. And matter can be classified into mixture as well as pure substance. This is based on chemical composition. So pure substances will have a definite property. If you take any pure substance, it will have definite properties. You take water. Water is a pure substance. Exactly, ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius and the water molecule boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So pure substances will have definite physical properties. Generally, elements and compounds are pure substances. Then what is mixture? When pure substances are physically mixed, we get mixture. So two or more pure substances physically mixed, we get a mixture. Mixture will not have a definite property, right? Then mixtures are of two types. One is a homogeneous, another one is heterogeneous. When you take a homogeneous mixture, the components cannot be distinguished. If sodium chloride salt is added in water, you will get sodium chloride solution. Homogeneous mixture is also known as a solution. So in sodium chloride solution, you cannot distinguish the components sodium chloride and water. So it is called homogeneous. Then consider heterogeneous mixture. The components can be distinguished. If sodium hydroxide pellets are mixed with potassium permanganate, means from the color as well as crystalline structure, we can easily distinguish the components. So these are called heterogeneous mixes. So elements and compounds are generally pure substances. They will have a definite property. And elements are the building block of all materials in the universe. If you take any material and substance, it is made up of elements. We have 118 elements. All the materials are made up of these elements only. And each element is made up of same type of atom. If you take a hydrogen, hydrogen is made up of hydrogen atoms, right? Hydrogen element is made up of only hydrogen atoms. Elements can exist in monoatomic form or polyatomic form. You take noble gases. Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, they are monoatomic species, so they are stable. And metals like gold, copper, silver, and so on, they are present in monoatomic form. But remaining elements will exist in the form of molecule of an element. So they are called polyatomic species. You take hydrogen, chlorine, bromine, iodine, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. So these elements will not exist as a monoatomic species. They are always existing as a molecule of an element. So hydrogen exists as a H2 molecule. Phosphorus exists as P4 molecule. Sulfur element exists as S8 molecule of an element. Then what is compound? When different elements are combined in a particular proportion. So due to chemical reaction, we get a chemical compound. So two or more elements are combining by a chemical reaction, we get a chemical compound. The formed compound will have a definite property. You take different compounds like carbon dioxide, glucose, hydrogen sulfide, sodium chloride, and so on. The formed compound will have a definite property. Sodium and chlorine are a different type of elements. Sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. When these two elements are combining in a particular proportion, we get sodium chloride salt. The formed sodium chloride salt is totally different from sodium metal and chlorine non-metal. So the properties of sodium and chlorine will not be retained after forming sodium chloride compound. Then atomic masses. So atoms are small in size. So they are having very small size as well as mass. So it is difficult to calculate it. If you take the diameter of an atom, it is in terms of angstrom, 10 power minus 10 meter. If you take the mass of or weight of an atom in terms of 10 power minus 27 kilogram. So it is difficult to find the mass of an atom. So we can use relative atomic mass. Instead of the word atomic mass, we can use relative atomic mass. For that, we need a standard atom. So UPAC has confirmed carbon-12 isotope as a standard atom. Carbon-12 represents what? Carbon with mass number 12. Because carbon element exists in different isotopic forms, like carbon with mass number 12, carbon with mass number 13, carbon with mass number 14. The more abundant isotope of carbon element is C12. So carbon-12 isotope is confirmed as a standard one by UPAC, and its mass is fixed as 12 AMU or 12U. AMU is nothing but atomic mass unit, U is nothing but unified atomic mass. And what is the definition of one atomic mass unit or one unified atomic mass? So 1/12 of mass of carbon-12 isotope in its ground state is called a unified atomic mass. Okay, its value is approximately 1.6605 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram. Then what is the definition of relative atomic mass? We are going to relate average atomic mass of an atom or average atomic mass of an element to the unified atomic mass. This is called the relative atomic mass. To take a hydrogen, we are going to relate average atomic mass of hydrogen to the unified atomic mass. Finally, we get relative atomic mass. So the ratio of average atomic mass of hydrogen to the unified mass is called relative atomic mass. Average atomic mass of hydrogen is 1.6736 and 10 power minus 27 kilogram. Unified atomic mass 1.6605 into 10 power minus 27. So the final relative atomic mass of hydrogen is approximately 1.008 unified atomic mass. Next, what is average atomic mass? As I told already, an element exists in different isotopic forms. If you take a hydrogen element, it exists in 3 different isotopic forms: protium, deuterium, and tritium. Hydrogen with mass number 1, hydrogen with mass number 2, hydrogen with mass number 3. So when we consider mass of an atom, we should not consider only one isotope of an element. We have to consider the mass of all the isotopes of an element. So average atomic mass is nothing but we take the average of atomic mass of all the isotopes of an element. So it's called an average atomic mass. Take a chlorine. Chlorine element exists in 2 isotopic forms: chlorine with the mass number 35, chlorine with the mass number 37. Their abundance are given here. Chlorine 35 is having the abundance 77%. Chlorine with the mass number 37 is having the abundance 23%. So we take the average. This is average atomic mass of chlorine element, 35.46 unified atomic mass. Next, molecular mass. As I told already, when atoms of same kind or different kind are combining, it produces a molecule. Atoms of same kind will give you molecule of an element. Atoms of different kind will give you molecule of a compound. Whatever it may be, the mass of a molecule is called the molecular mass, right? First, relative molecular mass. Its definition is the ratio of mass of a molecule to the unified atomic mass. How can we calculate relative molecular mass easily? For that, you just add relative atomic mass of all the atoms in the molecule. You will get relative molecular mass easily. Take a hydrogen. So H2 molecule. How can we calculate the relative molecular mass of a H2 molecule? You just add relative atomic mass of both the hydrogen atoms. So relative atomic mass of one hydrogen is 1.008. We add relative atomic mass of both the hydrogen atoms. So we get relative molecular mass of H2 molecule is 2.016 unified atomic mass. Next example, glucose. The molecular formula of glucose is C6H12O6. Relative atomic mass of carbon 12, relative atomic mass of hydrogen 1.008, relative atomic mass of oxygen 16. You just add all these, you will get relative molecular mass of glucose as 180.096 unified atomic mass. Next, mole concept. So this is an important one. In laboratory, we take substances in a measurable quantity, right? So mole is the SI unit of quantity of substance. When we do a chemical reaction in the laboratory, we always take the substance in a measurable quantity. We will not take 1 molecule of hydrogen, 1 molecule of oxygen. It is impossible. So we take 1 mole of hydrogen, 1 mole of oxygen. They are the measurable quantities, right? So mole concept is an important one in chemistry. So as we know, mole is the SI unit of quantity of substance. In physics, you studied the fundamental quantities. SI unit of quantity of a substance is called what? Mole. When we take 12 gram of carbon-12 isotope, this is standard atom. Its atomic mass is 12 gram. So when we take 12 gram of carbon-12 isotope, the number of carbon atoms is 6.022 into 10 power 23. What is the definition of mole? The quantity of substance contains as many elementary particles present in 12 gram carbon-12 isotope. That means if you take a quantity of a substance, if it has 6.022 into 10 power 23 particles, we call the quantity of substance as 1 mole. Okay. The simple way of measuring 1 mole substance is what? Find molecular mass of the compound, you take that much quantity, or find atomic mass of that atom, take that much quantity. It is 1 mole substance. What is Avogadro number? Number of particles present in 1 mole substance is called Avogadro number. So if you take any substance, the 1 mole quantity of substance will have 6.022 into 10 power 23 particles. So this is called Avogadro number. Where we use mole concept, you consider the following reaction. When carbon combines with oxygen, it provides carbon dioxide. How can we explain this reaction? 1 mole carbon combines with 1 mole oxygen to produce 1 mole carbon dioxide, right? We cannot say 1 molecule of carbon combines with 1 molecule of oxygen to produce 1 molecule of carbon dioxide. Practically, it is impossible to take in the laboratory. So here we use mole concept. What is molar mass? Mass of 1 mole substance is called molar mass. Its unit is gram per mole. Okay. This can be easily calculated by adding atomic masses of the atoms in the molecule. So molecular mass and molar mass both are having same value, but the unit will be different. Okay. Relative molecular mass will have a unit AMU, but molar mass will have the unit gram per mole. Take a hydrogen atom. Its relative atomic mass 1.008. Molar mass is the same value with a different unit, gram per mole. Relative molecular mass of glucose 180 unified atomic mass. Molar mass same value with different unit, gram per mole. What is molar volume? Volume occupied by 1 mole gaseous substance at a particular temperature and pressure. It is called molar volume. So you take any gaseous substance like oxygen or nitrogen, any gaseous substance can be considered. The volume occupied by 1 mole gaseous substance at a given temperature and pressure, it is called molar volume. When temperature and pressure changes, molar volume value will be changed. So when we maintain STP, standard temperature pressure, the temperature is 273 Kelvin or 0 degrees Celsius and the pressure is maintained as 1 bar pressure. Molar volume is 22.71 liter. When we maintain 273 Kelvin and 1 atmospheric pressure, molar volume is 22.4 liter. If we maintain SATP, that means room temperature and pressure, 25 degrees Celsius or 298 Kelvin and 1 atmospheric pressure, molar volume is 24.47 liter. Next, we move into another concept called gram equivalent concept. So in mole concept, we explained the reaction. 1 mole reactant produces 1 mole product. So according to gram equivalent concept, we can say 1 gram equivalent reactant produces 1 gram equivalent product. Like that we can explain a reaction. Okay. So gram equivalent concept is also an important concept. First, what is the definition of equivalent mass? For any species, it may be an element or it may be a compound. For there will be equivalent mass, like atomic mass and molecular mass, there will be an equivalent mass. So it is defined as mass of an element that displaces or combines 1.008 gram of hydrogen, 8 gram of oxygen, 35.5 gram of chlorine. So this is the definition of equivalent mass. You take any substance, mass of the substance combines or displaces 1.008 gram of hydrogen, 8 gram of oxygen, 35.5 gram of chlorine. If any one takes place, that quantity of substance is called equivalent mass. Take the following reaction. This is a metal displacement reaction. When zinc metal is added with sulfuric acid, it forms a salt zinc sulfate with the liberation of hydrogen. And for the metal, there is an atomic mass. Atomic mass of zinc is 65.38 gram. So based on mole concept, we can explain the reaction. So the coefficients are what? 1. For all the 4 substances, coefficient 1. So I can say 1 mole zinc combines with 1 mole sulfuric acid. It provides 1 mole zinc sulfate and it liberates 1 mole hydrogen. So this is based on mole concept. How can we measure 1 mole zinc? Its atomic mass value is nothing but 1 mole zinc. Atomic mass of zinc is 65.38 gram. So when we take 65.38 gram zinc, it is nothing but 1 mole substance. So it provides 1 mole hydrogen. 1 mole hydrogen means how much weight? 2.016 gram. We already studied. What is the relative molecular mass of H2 molecule? 2.016 gram. So according to mole concept, 1 mole zinc displaces 1 mole hydrogen. But what is the definition of equivalent mass? Equivalent mass of zinc means how much zinc is used to displace 1.008 gram hydrogen. Okay, so this is the value needed to displace 2.016 gram hydrogen. We need how much zinc is required to liberate 1.008 gram hydrogen. That means you divide this value by 2, you will get 1.008. The same way, you divide this value by 2, you will get equivalent mass. So atomic mass of zinc 65.38 divided by 2. So 32.69 gram of zinc is required to liberate 1.008 gram hydrogen. So this is called equivalent mass. When we express equivalent mass, there is no unit. But for gram equivalent mass, the unit is gram per equivalent. Remind it. Gram equivalent mass means unit is gram per equivalent. Okay, in most of the reactions, hydrogen, oxygen and the chlorine will not be involved. According to the above definition, mass of element combines or displaces 1.008 gram hydrogen, 8 gram oxygen or 35.5 gram chlorine. So any one element should be there in a reaction. Hydrogen or oxygen or chlorine should be in a reaction. But in most of the reactions, all the three elements will not be involved. So we propose a new formula to calculate the equivalent mass. Molar mass divided by equivalence factor. The equivalence factor value will be different for different compounds. Okay. So this is the formula to calculate gram equivalent mass of a substance. Now we are going to calculate equivalent mass for the acids. What is the formula? Molar mass divided by equivalence factor. For acids, there is a term basicity. So in lower classes we studied number of replaceable hydrogen atoms in an acid is called basicity. The same thing is repeated here. Number of moles of ionizable H plus ions present in 1 mole of the acid is called basicity. Okay. So we rearrange the gram equivalent mass formula. Molar mass divided by, instead of equivalence factor, we write it as basicity of the acid. By using this formula, we can calculate equivalent mass of any acid. Take example, sulfuric acid, H2SO4. It has two replaceable hydrogen atoms, or we can say it has two ionizable H plus ions in 1 mole of H2SO4. Basicity value 2. And we can calculate the molar mass. By adding relative atomic masses, we will get relative molecular mass. If the unit is gram per mole, it is molar mass. So we have 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 sulfur and 4 oxygen atoms. For each atom, we know the relative atomic mass. Finally, we get molar mass 98 gram per mole. Formula to calculate equivalent mass is molar mass divided by basicity. 98 divided by 2, we get 49 gram per equivalent as the equivalent mass of sulfuric acid. This is gram equivalent mass of sulfuric acid. The same way, we can calculate the gram equivalent mass for the bases. For the bases, we use the word acidity. This is a number of replaceable OH groups or OH minus ions. So we can say number of ionizable OH minus ion present in 1 mole of the base. This is called acidity. So equivalent mass formula is rearranged as molar mass divided by acidity. Instead of equivalence factor N, we write it as acidity of base. Take potassium hydroxide as an example. Potassium hydroxide will be separated as K plus and OH minus. So number of OH minus ions in 1 mole of KOH is just 1. So its acidity value 1, and we can calculate the molar mass. By adding atomic mass of potassium, oxygen and hydrogen, we get molar mass of potassium hydroxide as 56 gram per mole. So gram equivalent mass formula, molar mass divided by acidity. Gram equivalent mass of potassium hydroxide is 56 gram per equivalent. Third, salt. So acids, bases and salts, these are all the common inorganic compounds. So a salt may be an oxidizing agent or it may be a reducing agent. So in this case, we are going to find how much electrons are transferred in this reaction. If you take oxidizing agent, it will gain electron, it will undergo reduction. So how much electrons gained? If you take reducing agent, it will undergo oxidation, it loses electron. How much electrons lost? So we are going to find how much electrons lost by reducing agent or how much electrons gained by oxidizing agent. that will be used to find the equivalent mass. Okay. So equivalent mass formula, molar mass divided by equivalence factor. So here equivalence factor is nothing but number of electrons lost or number of electrons gained. We take potassium permanganate. So potassium permanganate is an oxidizing agent, so it undergoes reduction. So permanganate anion undergoes reduction, so it gains 5 electrons. Oxidation state is changed from +7 into +2. So it gains 5 electrons. The molar mass of potassium permanganate is 158 gram per mole. We add atomic mass of potassium, manganese and oxygen. Finally we get molar mass of potassium permanganate as 158 gram per mole. The formula to calculate gram equivalent mass is molar mass divided by equivalence factor. That means how much electrons gained by the oxidizing agent potassium permanganate, 5. So gram equivalent mass of potassium permanganate is 31.6 gram per equivalent. So we can use mole concept as well as gram equivalent concept. To explain a reaction according to mole concept, we always need a balanced reaction. So the chemical reaction should be a balanced one, then only we can apply mole concept to explain the reaction. If the reaction is an unbalanced one, gram equivalent concept is enough. Using the equivalent mass, we can explain the reaction. So mole concept is used for explaining non-redox reactions. Gram equivalent concept is used for explaining the redox reactions. So consider a reaction between potassium permanganate and the ferrous sulfate. If we have unbalanced equation, we can explain the reaction with the help of gram equivalent concept. For balanced reaction, we can utilize mole concept. Gram equivalent concept is enough to explain unbalanced reaction. So we can say 1 gram equivalent of potassium permanganate combines with 1 gram equivalent of anhydrous ferrous sulfate. So the reactants are potassium permanganate and ferrous sulfate. Using gram equivalent concept, we can say 1 gram equivalent potassium permanganate combines with 1 gram equivalent ferrous sulfate to produce the respective products. So this is the explanation for unbalanced chemical reaction. 1 gram equivalent means, so we are taking a quantity of a substance. How much quantity will be taken? Equivalent mass quantity. Potassium permanganate having the equivalent mass 31.6 gram. So when we take exactly 31.6 gram potassium permanganate, we can say this is 1 gram equivalent substance. So 1 gram equivalent potassium permanganate is nothing but 31.6 gram. 1 gram equivalent ferrous sulfate means we have to take how much ferrous sulfate? Its equivalent mass 152 gram. So for an unbalanced reaction, we can say 1 gram equivalent potassium permanganate, that means 31.6 gram, will combine with 1 gram equivalent anhydrous ferrous sulfate, which is nothing but 152 gram, to give the product. If the reaction is a balanced one, we can explain it using a mole concept. Take this balanced equation. The balanced equation can be explained using a mole concept. I can say 2 moles of potassium permanganate combines with 10 moles of ferrous sulfate to give the product. So in both the concepts, amount of reactant should be equal. So according to gram equivalent concept, we said 31.6 gram potassium permanganate combines with 152 gram ferrous sulfate. When we explain the balanced reaction using mole concept, we express reactants in terms of mole, but the mass should be the same, right? So we can confirm it. So the reaction is explained based on mole concept. 2 moles of potassium permanganate combines with 10 moles of anhydrous ferrous sulfate. Now we have to confirm. 31.6 gram of potassium permanganate combines with 152 gram of ferrous sulfate. To confirm that, we calculate mass of potassium permanganate in this balanced chemical reaction. So 2 moles potassium permanganate means how much mass? 316 gram. Right? The molar mass of potassium permanganate is 158 gram. We take 2 moles. So the mass of 2 mole of potassium permanganate is 316 gram. It combines with the 10 moles of ferrous sulfate. The molar mass of ferrous sulfate is 152 gram. 10 moles means mass of 10 mole of ferrous sulfate is 1520 gram. So from this balanced chemical reaction, it is clear that 2 moles or 316 gram of potassium permanganate combines with 10 moles or 1520 gram of ferrous sulfate. That means how much ferrous sulfate will combine with 31.6 gram potassium permanganate. Okay. So we are going to confirm the quantity of substance when we explain the balanced reaction using mole concept. So how much ferrous sulfate will be consumed by 31.6 gram of potassium permanganate? We get the same value. Okay. So for an unbalanced reaction, we explained using gram equivalent concept. We said 31.6 gram potassium permanganate combines with 152 gram ferrous sulfate. The same is obtained in mole concept for a balanced reaction also. So after completing the mole concept and the gram equivalent concept, we move into the next one, empirical formula calculation and the molecular formula calculation. So what is the definition of empirical formula? So this is the formula of a compound by using the simplest ratio of number of different atoms. How can we say the formula for a water? The compound water has the formula H2O. The same way for every compound or a molecule, there is a formula. So empirical formula is one of the formulae for a compound which can be written with the help of simplest ratio of different number of atoms, and these ratio will be mentioned as a subscript value to the atomic symbols. So this is the way of writing empirical formula. So when we study examples, you will easily understand. The same way, molecular formula. This is also the formula of a molecule or a compound by mentioning exact number of atoms present in the molecule. Exactly how much atoms present in one molecule of the compound. So the same way, numbers will be represented as subscript to the atomic symbol. So these two are the definition of empirical formula and the molecular formula. The major difference is empirical formula is the formula of a compound written with simplest number of ratio. The simplified form of ratio of number of atoms will be mentioned, but molecular formula is the formula written with exact number of atoms present in one molecule of a compound. To take the example, acetic acid. The actual formula for the acetic acid is C2H4O2. The acetic acid has 2 carbon atoms, 4 hydrogen atoms and 2 oxygen atoms. So the formula is written with the exact number of different atoms present in one molecule of a compound, acetic acid. This is called a molecular formula. When this formula is written in a simplified form, this is called a empirical formula. So formula with simple ratio of number of different atoms in one molecule of a compound. Right? Next, calculation of empirical formula. How can we calculate empirical formula? First step, we assume that the mass of the compound as 100 gram, right? So we just assume the overall mass of a compound is 100 gram. So elemental analysis data is useful to find the empirical formula. In organic chemistry we already studied. After preparing the compound, we will deduct the elements. After deducting the element, we will estimate carbon is present with what percentage. So how much percentage of hydrogen is present, how much percentage of sulfur is present, like that. Percentage of element will be calculated. It is called estimation. So after completing the process estimation of elements, we can find the simplified formula for a compound called the empirical formula. So first step in the determination of empirical formula is we have to assume the mass of a compound as 100 gram. Second step, we have to divide the percentage of element by atomic number. Then only we will get a number of moles. We know the formula for number of moles. Number of moles is equal to mass divided by molar mass. Third step, in second step we obtain the relative number of moles. The relative number of moles will be converted into simple ratio. So we need a ratio. So a relative number of moles will be converted into simplest ratio. For that, the value obtained in second step will be divided by the smallest number. Okay, smallest number obtained in the second step is utilized for dividing all the values. So after getting simplest ratio of number of moles, if the value is a whole number, you just leave it. If it is not a whole number, we have to make it as a whole number by multiplying a smallest number. So these are all the 4 common steps. When we see the example, you will understand easily. Take first example. We are going to calculate the empirical formula for a compound. Elemental analysis shows the compound contains 3 elements: carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Its percentage is given: 32% of carbon, 4% of oxygen, 64% of 32% carbon, 4% hydrogen, 64% oxygen. So we assume that overall mass is 100 gram. So 32% is assumed as 32 gram. 4% of hydrogen is assumed as 4 gram. 64% of oxygen is assumed as 64 gram. So when we add all these values, 32 plus 4 plus 64, you will get 100. So 100% mass is assumed as 100 gram. So how can we calculate the number of moles? The formula to calculate number of moles is mass divided by molecular mass. Okay, so we know the mass of carbon 32 gram, which is divided by the atomic mass or molecular mass or molar mass 12. So we get number of moles. 32 gram of carbon means 2.66 mole of carbon. Then hydrogen 4 gram divided by the atomic mass of hydrogen 1, we get number of moles 4. 64 gram oxygen is present in the compound, which is divided by the atomic mass of oxygen 16, we get number of moles 4. So relative number of moles obtained in the compound. To get the simplest ratio, we divide the number of mole by the smallest number. So out of 3 numbers, 2.66, 4 and 4, the least number is 2.66. So number of mole is divided by the smallest number. 2.66 divided by 2.66 is equal to 1. Number of mole 4 divided by the smallest number 2.66, we get a simplest ratio 1.5. For oxygen also the same method, we get number of mole 1.5. So last step, if the simplest ratio is not a whole number, we have to convert it into whole numbers so that the simplest ratio is multiplied by a smaller number. For example 2, we get simplest ratio. So from the calculation, we get empirical formula C2H3O3. Okay. So elemental analysis says 3 different elements present in the compound and their percentage is given. Percentage is assumed as a mass of the substance. The mass is divided by the atomic mass. We get number of moles. From the number of moles, we have obtained the simplest ratio. If it is not a whole number, we can convert it into whole number. So by having all these 4 steps, finally we get the simplest formula for a compound, that is called empirical formula C2H3O3. So these values are mentioned as the subscript to the atomic symbol. Take one more example. Elemental analysis shows 3 elements present in the compound. Percentage of carbon 40, percentage of hydrogen 6.6, percentage of oxygen 53.4. To calculate the number of moles, formula mass divided by atomic mass. So mass divided by atomic mass of carbon, we get number of moles 3.3. For remaining 2 atoms, number of moles obtained as 6.6 and 3.3. To get the simplest ratio, number of mole is divided by the simplest number. We get simplest ratio 1 to 2. So the value is obtained as a whole number. We can easily write the empirical formula: carbon subscript value 1, hydrogen subscript value 2, oxygen subscript value 1. So CH2O is the empirical formula for the compound. Next, how to calculate molecular formula for a compound. To find the molecular formula for a compound, we need value called N. So when we get this N value, that's a whole number. When this N value is multiplied by an empirical formula, we get the molecular formula. So this is the method. How to get molecular formula? Empirical formula will be multiplied by a whole number N. So the N value is obtained using this formula: molar mass divided by empirical formula mass. So first step, we have to find the empirical formula. After that, we have to calculate empirical formula mass. Third step, we will get molecular formula. We can take this example. Elemental analysis shows carbon, hydrogen, oxygen is present in the compound. We have already calculated empirical formula for this compound as CH2O. So first step is the calculation of empirical formula. What is the next step? Finding the empirical formula mass. So empirical formula mass is calculated by adding the atomic masses. 12 is the atomic mass of carbon. 1 is the atomic mass of hydrogen. Totally 2 hydrogen atoms present. 16 is the atomic mass of oxygen. So for the empirical formula CH2O, we calculate the empirical formula mass by adding atomic masses of atoms present in the compound. So empirical formula mass is obtained as 30. Okay, so the unit is gram per mole. So to get molecular formula, we need a whole number value. N value should be calculated. The formula molar mass divided by empirical formula mass. In the question, they have given molar mass as a 60. We already calculated empirical formula mass 30 gram per mole. So whole number value is obtained. So molecular formula is obtained by multiplying empirical formula by 2. Okay, empirical formula CH2O, this is multiplied by the whole number 2, we get molecular formula C2H4O2. So it is acetic acid. The same procedure, empirical formula CH2O, but molar mass of the compound instead of 60, 90 gram per mole. Empirical formula CH2O, so same empirical formula mass 30 gram per mole, whole number 3. To get molecular formula, we multiply empirical formula and whole number. So CH2O is multiplied by 3, we get molecular formula C3H6O3. So we get lactic acid. So many examples I have given in our book. This we have already completed. Take next one, hydrogen peroxide. The empirical formula is calculated as HO. Molar mass of hydrogen peroxide is 34 gram per mole. Empirical formula mass, hydrogen 1, oxygen 16, 1 plus 16, 17. So empirical formula mass is 17. Whole number N is calculated using molar mass divided by empirical formula mass. So N value 2. Empirical formula HO is multiplied by the whole number 2, we get molecular formula H2O2 for hydrogen peroxide. Then lactic acid we completed already. Take tartaric acid. Empirical formula C2H3O3, molar mass is given as 150 gram per mole. We can calculate empirical formula mass. Carbon 12 gram, hydrogen 1 gram, oxygen 16 gram, 2 carbon atoms, 3 hydrogen atoms, 3 oxygen atoms present. So totally empirical formula mass is 75 gram per mole. N value 2. Multiply the empirical formula by whole number, we get molecular formula. Okay, benzene. Empirical formula CH. Molar mass 78 gram. Empirical formula mass 13 gram. Carbon 12, hydrogen 1. 12 plus 1, 13 gram. So molar mass is divided by empirical formula mass. We obtain whole number 6. Empirical formula CH is multiplied by the whole number 6. We get molecular formula for benzene as a C6H6. So with this, we complete atomic masses, mole concept, Avogadro number, relative atomic mass, relative molecular mass, then molar mass, molar volume, gram equivalent mass, empirical formula calculation and molecular formula calculation. So remaining things we will discuss later.